Welcome back to Life with the Spectrum. I'm your host, Gina Cavalli, and we're going to call the next couple of weeks Rush Week. Why? Because I'm just like you. Our family's just like your family. We worry about where we go to school, whether it's elementary school, middle school, high school, and then on to college, and of course, how we're going to pay for it, which, by the way, folks, get this great book by Princeton Review. It's Paying for College, and it will pay off, I promise you. Now, for me, I got a couple more years left, so I don't have to worry about that. But you might need to make those decisions now. And that's why, whether you travel far away from home or stay right here in the ATL, we are going to feature some colleges right here at home. Like Ken Surdin, the director of Excel at Georgia Tech. Ken, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So what is Excel at Georgia Tech?
Yeah, Excel is a 4-year college program for students with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And we are a certificate program, not a degree program. So we have a first certificate after 2 years, which is awarded in academic enrichment, social fluency, and career exploration. And then after the 4th year, there is a certificate in social growth, leadership, and career development. There are over 200 programs that serve this particular population. Some are 2-year programs, some are dual enrollment programs, and there are 4-year programs like ours. A great resource for folks that are looking at these programs is thinkcollege.net.
Oh, good to know.
And they have resources, they have information for people who are just starting the journey to people who are in the middle of it. So I highly recommend that website, and the folks over there are really fantastic and are proponents of these programs and expanding them across the nation.
When did Georgia Tech start the Excel program?
I was hired in 2014 to start the program, and then we had our first cohort of 8 students in 2015, and here we are now going, halfway through 2022. So.
And how many students have come through the program so far?
Yeah, we've had 40 students graduate from the program.
Wow.
Yeah. And every year we have, we're shooting for between 8 and 12 students to admit. A maximum of 40 to 45 students. That's about our sweet spot. There are other programs out there that take a lot less fewer students, so they really vary in terms of their size and their breadth. There are some fantastic programs out there that are focused really on the college experience itself, so taking classes, clubs, things like that.
So they are really in an immersive experience at Georgia Tech, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. So students are both living in the dorms. We have students that live in private, fancy dorms that have been built around the campus, which are not managed by the university, but have all kinds of bells and whistles and pools and granite countertops for those who can afford it. And then every once in a while, we have a student that will commute to the program as well.
Walk me through a day in the life of a student at Georgia Tech through the Excel program. Like, I'm sure they get up, they go to the mess hall, just like we all did in college. They get some breakfast, and then where do they go from there?
Yeah, it's really a typical college experience. Students, will wake up, they'll get ready, they go eat. If that's they don't have a class early in the morning, they'll take 4 different classes throughout the week. Those will be scheduled on, random days, just like it is for anybody in college. And they'll take inclusive classes, which are courses alongside degree-seeking students from the Georgia Tech catalog. Could be anything from intro to psychology, to history, to sports, to whatever. And then there are courses that Excel faculty teach in career exploration, career development. We teach peers, which is a social skills intervention and it's evidence-based and was created at UCLA. And then students are involved in clubs. We have students involved in more than 80 clubs across campus. We have students that are doing internships, which is a significant part of what they do while they're in the program. And we've worked with over 100 employers at this point.
Ken Surdin, the director of Excel at Georgia Tech. Now, Ken, when the kids are going to their daily classes and they're doing their social clubs and their activities, do they get support from counselors? Or I know you mentioned the peers program, and I'm not too familiar with that, but do they get the support from other people that are either getting their degrees in different types of therapies or education? Or what do they get there as far as support is concerned?
Yeah, so there's a number of touch points, including faculty for Excel and staff. So they'll have a career advisor, they'll have an academic advisor, they will have a coach who's a degree-seeking student that has been elevated from a mentorship role, who will meet with the student weekly. They'll talk about things, executive functioning issues, how to organize their day, how to get across campus better or navigate time delays with transportation, things like that. So a lot of problem solving.
And I think every kid needs that, whether or not they're neurotypical or not. They need a special class to like how to go to college 101.
Some of us adults as well. So.
Now, let me ask you about financial aid. I know a lot of parents struggle, especially now with inflation. They're struggling just to make ends meet at home. The cost of education can skyrocket. And then you add on all of the different, meal plans, the cost of housing. This is outside of just the actual going to school. Is there anything that kids can qualify there at Georgia Tech for in this Excel program?
Yeah, we're a comprehensive transition program certified by the Department of Education at the federal level, which means that our students who are eligible can apply and receive Pell Grants or Pell Awards. Also, there are a number of scholarships out there. Some of them are listed on our website. You can also go to Think College and look for scholarships for particular disabilities that might be a match.
So tell me about how the application process is. I know that off the record, you and I chatted, and you had mentioned how important it is that we want to find kids that are, wanting to work. They have a little bit of motivation behind them, and they just kind of have to navigate to find exactly what they're spirited in. So what's the application process like for Excel at Georgia Tech?
Yeah, we have an online application. It's pretty standard in terms of, asking about your history. As well, we require a IEP and a psychological evaluation that have both been done in the last 3 years. So you can get a sense of what school looked like for you and what home life looked like for you, your level of independence. We, don't accept people that may not be safe on their own or around other people. So if there are behavioral issues that would be better treated, in a clinical setting, we're not that. We're an academic program, so that's something that we look at. We look at extracurricular activities. We look at work experience. More and more students are coming in already having worked, which is a great indicator of success and motivation. And so all of those are things that we look at and highly recommend. Wanting to go to college is a big one, and wanting to work when you get out of college are two things that we strongly look at.
And then do you follow back up with those kids after they've graduated and they get their certificates, and you help with job placement, I know, at Excel, which is wonderful because, you know what, kids often change their minds. At one point I thought I was going to be the world's greatest psychologist, and look at me, I was a radio DJ, and now I'm reinventing myself doing this show. So do you have somebody that follows up with them? And, this would be good data for Georgia Tech, but also just to make sure, like, hey, Joe, you're doing a great job over at the World of Coke, and are you still passionate about it, or should we try to find something else? Maybe they decided that they'd really like to focus on marketing or something. What's the program there? after the fact.
Yeah, we definitely follow up with them. To give you an example, we have two students that are alumni and they're taking part in the State of the Art Conference in Syracuse, which is sort of the premier conference for programs like these. And they're on a job panel alongside two current students to talk about what life is like after college and what work life is like after college. Additionally, we track employment for our graduates 3 months, a year out, and then yearly. So over 90% of our graduates are currently employed. That can change from month to month depending on whether or not they kept a job or are changing a job, like you said. But we track that constantly.
It's got to make your heart smile seeing kids with disabilities go through the entire 4 years, because that's a commitment in and of itself, right? But then to, go on and have meaningful employment and know that you had a part in that. Ken Surdin, the director of Excel at Georgia Tech, what would you say would be your biggest moment with a child that has come through the program? What's the biggest success story to you that sticks out in your mind?
I really can't name one. I think it's sort of a combination of seeing the growth from the first day the student steps, into the college environment, and
just like a deer in the headlights, right?
A deer in the headlights, and then seeing students graduate and live together independently in apartments and go to their jobs and maintain their employment and, go to Georgia Tech alumni events and come by and check in with us at the office to tell us all the good things that are happening. So, all of that is real feel-good stuff.
They walk away with a different type of swagger than they walked into school with, that's for sure.
They do, yeah, and they're very proud of their time here, and, and we're proud of them.
So when I'm talking about rush weeks here in the coming weeks, I'm going to be, of course, with you, Ken Surdin, at the director of Excel at Georgia Tech. I looked into a lot of HBCUs that I wanted to feature that would be doing programs like this for minorities, and I don't find a lot of HBCUs around the country that are offering programs like this. And as we all know, disabilities come in all shapes and sizes, colors, nationalities, religions, and I know that Excel there at Georgia Tech is really offering and really wanting to pioneer and pave the way for minority growth in that area, right?
Yeah, we are. For most of the time that we've had the program, we've been at 50% diversity numbers in terms of enrollment. But as college gets more and more expensive, it's getting harder and harder to afford. And so, you want to make sure that these programs are accessible to everybody who wants to go and can go to college. And so there needs to be a lot more done in terms of federal loan assistance. Stafford loans are not available to this group of students. The Hope Scholarship's not available at this point. So there's a lot that can be done in terms of policy change to make it more affordable.
And so where do we go from here? How can we start that process? Because whether it's Georgia Tech, whether it's a private college, whether everyone who wants to go to college deserves to go to college. Make it that much exponentially higher for kids with disabilities. They do deserve to go to school. If they want to go, there should be nothing stopping them. So what kind of help can we do? Do we need to go lobby somewhere? Do we need to, these are just kind of, it makes sense to offer the same things for the, you know what I mean? It's almost biased at what point. So I can get the Hope Scholarship, but my son couldn't. That's not right. It's not fair. We need to change that. So I'm putting a call to action like, how do we change this?
Yeah, if I could turn a switch and make it happen, I would. But, it's all the traditional routes, working with your Congress people, your senators at the local level, with organizations that are focused on disability policy. If you're already part of some of those groups, making sure it's part of their agenda to bring it to attention to people who can change these policies. There's a number of different ways. The Georgia Council on Developmental Disabilities has done a lot of work in trying to get additional funding for programs like this, so you can reach into to them and join with them. And they have capital days that you can come to celebrate the significance and importance of these programs and funding them. There's a lot of things and a lot of ways to go about it.
Ken Surdin, the director of Excel at Georgia Tech, expanding the career, education, and leadership opportunities. How can people find Excel through Georgia Tech? Do you just go to the Georgia Tech website, or is there a special website for Excel?
Yeah. You can go to excel at gatech.edu, excel@gattech.edu.
All right. So I love this. And are you on social media?
We are. We have a Facebook page, and we also are on LinkedIn.
Oh, wonderful. So kids can actually go, maybe if they're interested in seeing what a day in the life would be like, they can go on social media. You post pictures and things like that?
Yeah, the Facebook site's really good. It's probably the most timeliest in terms of posting what students are involved in on campus. So there's a lot of great stuff on there.
And where would you get, once again, the application, Ken?
You can get the application on our website. So if you go to excel@gattech.edu, there's an application tab, and you can start the process.
Ken Surdin, the director of Excel at Georgia Tech. Ken, what else can we tell families that have kids that are thinking about going to college, going to make that leap? I know it's hard to let go as a mom or dad to send them off to school, especially when they're living on campus. And they, do you have family days where mom and dads can come and visit and check in and make sure that they're, everything's okay?
Sure. Yeah, we do about 6 info sessions a year. Some of those are in person and others are online. So you can come meet staff, learn about the program, meet other parents who are looking at these options, and do a campus tour.
Now, one particular person stands out in my mind. Her name is, I believe it's Mary, right? Is Mary getting ready to graduate Excel at Georgia Tech? She decided to stay home. I'm sorry, what?
Is it Martha?
Is it Martha? She's deciding to stay home and work at a vet's office? But the success story is online, and I was reading her story, and she's so beautiful, and she looks just like ready to tackle the world. And I think that this program through Georgia Tech has really enabled her and empowered her to make some really great life choices. Being a young adult is hard enough. Being a young adult with a disability or an intellectual disability is that much harder. So to see some of these success stories that you can read online, it makes my heart smile.
Yeah, we've had so many success stories, and there's, at this point, I can't even keep them all in my head, which is a great thing, it really is a testament not just to the program, but to the hard work that the students are doing and the life that they're carving out for themselves, which is what you want to see any young adult be able to do.
And just really quickly, once again, Ken, there's 2 types. The certificate you get after 2 years is in what?
Yeah, so there are 2 certificates, and that's so that we could also take transfer students who may be coming from another program. And so that's like a traditional program. So the first certificate is in academic enrichment, social fluency, and career exploration. And the second certificate is in social growth, leadership, and career development. Along with those certificates, students do 7 internships. And as the years progress, they do more and more internships hours, which count towards their courses.
Do you have home-based Georgia companies that are behind these internships, i.e. Home Depot, Delta, Coca-Cola, Chick-fil-A? Some of the home-based companies, are they offering up internships to Georgia Tech students?
Yes, we do, but they really vary, and it varies. It's based on what the student wants to do, so there are more possibilities than there are students who want to do them at this point. So we put students in the types of things that they want to do. So there might be an opportunity there, but if we don't have somebody to fill it, we don't. So I've got several students that are working and some who have graduated and are working at the Atlanta airport. I've had a student working at Lufthansa. Actually, we just put in for a scholarship with Coca-Cola, so we're hoping that might happen coming next year. So we're constantly expanding that network of employers. We're working with school districts, Fulton County government. Georgia Tech employs quite a few number of students for their internships, and Mercedes-Benz. I mean, it really
it runs the gamut.
It runs the gamut. It does, yeah.
Ken Surdin, Director of Excel at Georgia Tech. One more time, the website, everybody can get all the information, applications, everything. What's that address again?
It's excel@gatech.edu. So excel.gatech.edu.
Ken, thank you so much for being on the show today. I think it gives parents a real sense of hope that their kids can go on and get a certificate of completion from Georgia Tech, no doubt. Feel the sting, huh?
Thank you so much for having me and being able to explain the program for people who might be interested.
You know, as we continue to go on this crazy journey we call life, it's really important because I'm a mom. I'm part of a family that asks the same types of questions like your family does. Where are we going to go to school? Where are we going to, get transportation? Will my kid ever drive? This, that, and the other. And, it's wonderful to connect organizations to your family. And that's what I always say about this show is you can kind of plug in and find something for everyone. So until next time, we live life with the spectrum. See ya.